Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to one and all present here. Thanking you for joining us for today. For today's faculty development program, and I'm Tejashree, working as assistant professor in Department of IT at Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute. Let me start this with a quote. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of a lifelong attempt to acquire it by Albert Einstein. With that in mind, we, the Department of IT, starts this third day of FDP on design of outcome-based question paper, mapping outcomes, assessment, and rubrics, which is a good initiative for our faculty's bright future. Before getting into the session, now I call upon Dr.N.Kanya ma'am, who is the pillar of our IT department, to give the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to welcome you all to the third day of 1 week FDP on essentials of outcome-based education. I'm happy to welcome all the participants who are actively participating in the sessions and post questions. Stay tuned to learning. I'd like to express my gratitude to our founder chancellor, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam sir, and our president, Engineer Arun Kumar sir, for their new motivation and inspiring us to host this event successfully and conducting these kind of many events frequently. I'm happy to welcome uh, Mrs. S.P. Valli ma'am from Crescent University for accepting our invitation, and welcome you, ma'am, Valli ma'am, for today's session. I'd like to welcome all the participants who is attending throughout the country to this event. I hope this will be interesting and interactive session for you in this OBE. Today, ma'am is going to have a session in pedagogy, then Bloom's taxonomy, and how to do the mapping and all, which is essential for today's faculty members in engineering technology. I thank the coordinators for making this event grand success, and also I'd like to thank the faculty members of our department who always be a pillar of support for me to conduct these kind of events successfully. Stay tuned to learning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your brief welcome address. Before we enter the session, let me quickly brief out guidelines for all participants. Feedback link will be shared to you at the end of the session. It will be provided in the YouTube chat box and will be active for only 20 minutes. E-certificates will be provided to all participants based on attendance and feedback submission. And you can post your queries throughout the session at any time in the chat box. It will be answered at the end of question answer session. Thanks in advance for understanding. Now it's time for today's session to begin. So for today, we are very glad to invite a delegate, Mrs. S.P. Valli ma'am from BSA Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. Welcome, ma'am. Before getting into the session, and it's time to give introduction about the speaker. So it's given by Ms. Rashika.
One quote says, "To be inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor." It gives me a great pleasure to introduce the resource person for this third day of faculty development program, Mrs. S.P. Valli, for design of outcome-based question paper, mapping, outcomes, assessment, and rubrics. She is working as an assistant professor, selection grade in the Department of Computer Science Engineering in B.S. Abdur Rahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. She received her BE degree in Computer Science and Engineering from PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore in the year 1994. She did her ME in Computer Science and Engineering from Crescent Engineering College, Bandalur, Chennai in the year of 2008. She has got 20 years of teaching experience. She has submitted her thesis under research domain in mobile ad hoc networks. Her area of interest include mobile ad hoc network, network security, and software engineering. She has published many papers in international publications and has attended many international conferences. She has won the Cash Award in producing excellence academic research in computer networks and analysis of algorithms. She has prepared solution manual for titles Software Engineering, Somerville and Design and Analysis of Algorithm, Levitin for Person Education. She has written a part of the book Course Material for C Programming Language, which was then distributed to students for first year. She was rewarded for laudable service rendered for more than 15 years in B.S. Abdul Rahman Institution. We are very eagerly waiting to hear your speech, ma'am, in design of outcome-based question paper, mapping outcome, assessment, and rubrics.
Thank you, Rashika. Now it's time for our speaker ma'am. Now it's time to address Mrs. S.P. Valli ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Audible, ma'am. You can
Yes.
start.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I thank all the coordinators and the HOD, Dr. Kanya ma'am, for having invited me for this session. I hope I will do my best for the session. And I thank all the coordinators and welcome all the participants and hope we have an interesting session. Okay. So the agenda for today is, ma'am, is the screen visible?
No, ma'am, your screen is not visible.
Yeah. Now is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay.
visible.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite topic. In fact, while we were working for the NBA, we really
Ma'am,
did a very good. Yes.
ma'am,
Yes.
can you on your video, ma'am? It's not visible.
Mm, on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible.
So this session we will be covering most of the uh, patterns of how to set question papers and how to conduct our assessment so that we achieve the OBE framework. So I think you would have been having sufficient knowledge on how the OBE framework is designed. So basically, the OBE framework acts with the plan, do, check, and act cycle. So I'm just touching upon what is the OBE framework. So initially, what is the need for this outcome-based education itself? So what is that we are going to achieve? Now, rather than just teaching the students, how far have we reached the students? How far they have understood what we have taught, and are we in the right track? So we have a conclusion of how far we have reached and what is the outcome that is obtained after having taught that course. All that this framework helps us. So initially, how do we arrive at the outcomes, or how do we come to the course outcomes and the program outcomes? So we get the feedback from the various stakeholders. Stakeholders in the sense they can be the students who have already studied, that is the alumni, or the current students, the parents, the teachers, and the other industry people during the board of studies. So from all these, we get the outcomes. We get the mission statement, the vision statement of the university, as well as for the department. we arrive at a outline of the outcomes, whether be it the program outcomes or the course outcomes, and from there on we start with. So actually, our role as a teacher comes only during this phase. So what are we going to achieve? How are we going to attain the outcome is more important. So what are the different activities that we facilitate in order for them to attain the outcome? So all that is very important, which we'll be discussing shortly. And how do we know whether we have reached the outcome, whether we have attained that outcome? So we conduct various assessment and evaluations. So whether we are going to evaluate those assessments on the basis of the course or on the basis of the program or at an institution level. So at the course, the least that we can check is whether we have attained the course outcome. And at the program level, we will be taking the program objectives and the program outcomes. And at the institution level, we have the PEOs, the program educational objectives. So only if our course outcome has been attained, we can attain the program outcome. And if the program outcomes are attained, the PEOs are the program educational objectives, which are done at the institution level. So it is a very hierarchical growth that has to happen, starting from the course outcome. So as a teacher, we have to see that our course outcome is attained, and that indirectly helps in attaining the program outcome, which is finally connected with the institution outcome. Okay. So now, if this process is complete, if this process is properly done, we have a very good outcome attainment, and that can be checked whether there are any enhancements or whether any improvements has to be done. And again, this is as a cycle. This will again be taken as an input for the next year of implementation of this. So this OBE framework itself goes with the planning, doing, checking, and acting based framework. Okay, now I am just for us to just get into what is the feel of OBE. I will just start with what is how a course outcome is, what is a program outcome, and all those, and then we will come back to the slide. I hope this screen is still visible. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Okay, okay, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, please kindly stop me in case there is any problem. Okay, now I've just taken a sample course, the object-oriented software engineering. So I'm just taking a sample of this course, and using this course, we will discuss all the outcome-based evaluations. So the course objectives, these are the course objectives. So to introduce the basic concepts of software engineering and software lifecycle models to provide an insight into the concept. So what we mean by course learning objective is what is that we plan to do for the students during this course. That is our course objective. What is that we want to do for the students by teaching this course? So I want to teach the basic concepts of software engineering, the software lifecycle models, and touch upon requirement gathering and emphasize the importance of testing. And I want to keep track on the project progress and learn the concepts of software configuration management. So before I start the course, these are my objectives that I plan to teach the students. And after having taught the course, what is that I expect from the students? That will be our course outcomes. So course objective is what is your plan for the course, and course outcome is what do you expect at the end of the course. So at the end of the course, I expect the students to be in a position to compare the different life cycle models and select appropriate one for a real-time project. So if you take our syllabus first module, generally talks on the different life cycle models. For instance, the waterfall model or the V model or say the agile model, or there are so many other models. So the student, by after having studied this module or this course, he will be in a position to select which life cycle model is suitable for a particular application. Say, for example, he's given a system where the requirements are going to change. So he will not go and opt for a waterfall model where the requirements needs to be stable. Instead, he will be selecting a spiral model or a agile model where the risks are managed and the uh, requirements can still change till the end of the application development. The requirements can keep changing. So at the end of this, the student will be able to analyze which model is suitable. So this is the first outcome, and he will be learning the different tools in order to use the UML diagrams, and he will know what are the different responsibilities in a project, what are the documents that are produced at the end of a project. For example, he knows that at the end of the requirements phase, a software requirement specification document has to be produced. So all this he is aware of after having taken this course, and he will be able to analyze what are the risks in a project. Say, for example, if some employee leaves the organization, how is he going to manage? What are the risks involved when you start with the project? All that he will understand by the end of this course. And how to effectively see, a very important aspect for a software engineer is to effectively communicate. So how well does he communicate? So we have to have all these outcomes in order to satisfy the this course, whether this course has reached the student and whether we have attained the outcome is analyzed with all these outcomes. So having known what is a course objective and what is a course outcome, so that is the minimum level. This is a minimum level, a course objective and a course outcome. Similarly, for every program, uh, so do you have any questions until this? Have you understood what is a course objective and what is the course outcome? Uh, am I keeping the pace of speed or am I fast?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No questions
Ah,
so far.
okay. So I have just touched upon what is a course objective and what is a course outcome. So course objective is what we plan for the course, and course outcome is what do we intend the student to know at the end of the course. So this is the course objective and course outcome. Next, we will move on to the program objective and program outcome. So I'm just moving on to the next screen. Okay. So these are our program educational objectives. So the program educational objectives, it varies from for the different programs. This is what is we have done for our department, that is a computer science engineering. Okay. And what are the program? See, this is the program educational objective, what we want to do for the students, and what by the end of this program, what the students will be in a position to analyze and build models, applying the knowledge of mathematics, statistics. So we have around uh, 12 program outcomes and two program specific outcomes. As a computer engineer, having graduated as a computer engineer, what is that we have to have the, what is that we expect from the students? What is the student should possess at the end of having completed the program? So specific to our program. Now, say for example, if you take an electrical engineer, he will have a different set of program specific outcomes. So program specific outcomes are specific to the program. So this is, for example, for the computer science program. So I have general outcomes, that is the program outcomes and program specific outcomes. So I have to see whether along with the program outcomes, the student has attained the program specific outcomes, whether he is in a position to at least understand, analyze, develop proficiency in the areas related to our computer science, such as the algorithms, the system software, and the various other domains. So these are the program specific outcomes. So you know now what is a course objective, what is a course outcome, what is a program outcome, what is a program specific outcome, and what is a program educational objective. So having known this, we will just go back to our discussion with the slides. So this is what I was talking with respect to. So this is what this box we have just now touched upon. So we know what are the program outcomes, program outcomes, what we expect the students to attain at the end of the program, having completed the program, what is that we expect from him. And course outcomes, having completed the course, what is that we expect the students to possess, what are the skills that we expect to possess. So always there's a difference between the objective and the outcome, and we are going to see such that our course outcomes are met. So how do we bring these course outcomes? What are the possible activities that we can have? How are we going to set our question papers? What are the different evaluation patterns? What are the different assignments we can have? So that is what is our discussion next. Okay. So initially, we start with the program of study. We have the program outcome, and we have the different courses. And for the different courses, there are we assume at least there should be 5 to 6 modules, and we try to map every module with the specific outcome. So after having completed that particular unit or that particular module, what is the outcome that has been reached? Say, for example, as I just now told you, in software engineering, after having completed the first module, he will be in a position to analyze which is the best model that is suitable for his application. And he will be able to compare the different life cycle models and understand which is the best model for any application. And also he will know what are the drawbacks of every model, where that particular model should be used, what are the factors that has to be considered. All that he will be learning at the end of the course, sorry, the first module of that particular course. So that is how we map to the course outcomes. So for this, we will come back to how to set the question papers. Now I'm directly moving on to what could be the different assignments that we can give. What are the different ways we can assist the students in order to attain this outcome? So we can just have a quiz, or we can have a written test, or we can have an assignment, or we can have group discussions, or we can give some mini projects to them, ask them to write the SRS for that project, or we can ask them to draw the UML diagrams. So depending on which module you're focusing on, I have just included only a few of the different assessments possible. There are still more that we can explore. We can include a seminar in order to test the communication skills for the students, or we can have a tool study depending on, say, for example, for a subject like security, there are many network security tools that are available. So, what are the tools? How can he analyze using the tools? Say, for example, we are taking a computer network subject. In a subject like computer networks, the first thing he should know is how to analyze the network. What are the packets that are transmitted? So we will be teaching them that what is an IP address, what is a source address, what is a destination address. But if he studies that using a real-time tool like, say, for example, like a Wireshark or H3L or any other packet sniffer tool, if he's using, he will very well understand how the packet transmissions are taking place, and those simulation results he can analyze to understand how the packets are getting transmitted, or what are the intermediate protocols that are used. So it can be either a quiz, or it can be a simple assignment, or it can be a problem solving assignment, or it can be a group discussion. Generally, it is preferable to have discussions, at least one discussions. Now, when we are framing the lesson plan, it is always better to have a plethora of assessment components rather than just sticking on to one assessment component. It is always preferable to have a variety of assessment components, so that, say, for example, one student may be good in writing, but he may not be good in discussions. So we can bring out the abilities of all the students by conducting different types of assessments rather than just focusing on a single type of assignment or a single type of assessment. For the first module, probably we can have a presentation. He has to prepare a PPT, or he has to gather some requirements. Generally, what do I do in my subject, that is for the object oriented software engineering? I ask them to collect some requirements so that they will get a feel of what requirements should be, how should they actually, what is the role of an analyst in requirements engineering. So when they collect what are the requirements, or I've asked them to do either collecting the requirements for a real-time application, or doing a SRS, or interviewing somebody in the field. So by this way, they will know what are the different ways of collecting the requirements. So as you know, they have also done some questionnaires. You can give a set of questions collected from all say for example, if it is going to be some survey or evaluation that is to be conducted. Before I take up this uh, assessment, or say for example, you want to get the views of all the participants, or you want to get the views of all the stakeholders, you can give them a survey and get back with the questionnaires and analyze what is the requirements or what are the expectations of the participants. So this way they can know, understand what are the different ways requirements can be gathered, rather than just interviewing, or rather than just giving a survey. What are the different modes of requirements collection? He will analyze and he will come to know. So these are the different assessment components that can be included in our subject. So we will come back to where are we going to do all this and how are we going to link all this. So, for example, a quiz. If I take a quiz, that is a very minimal level of checking the outcome, and or a group discussion. So, a group discussion depends on how effectively the students participates in the discussion. Now, how do we conclude whether the program outcome has been attained? So, we have to have rubrics for measuring these assessment components. Say, for example, if I say seminar. If I'm giving the seminar as an assessment component, I should have, say, for example, I'm allotting 15 marks for the seminar. So I have to have some rubrics for allotting that 15 marks. 5 marks is for his presentation, 5 marks for the depth of content that he has taken, and 5 marks for how well he has presented to the audience, how effectively he is communicating. So I have to have a rubric for every assessment that I'm doing, whether be it a group discussion, or whether be it an assignment, or whether be it a project. If it is a project, what is the domain knowledge that he has conquered by doing that project? How has he analyzed all the existing methods of the system, and has he done a detailed literature survey? So I allot some 5 marks for this, for 5 marks for the literature survey that he has done, and 5 marks for the way he is presenting, and so on. So there are plenty of ways rubrics can be formulated. So what is that I want to insist here is the different assessment components we should try to include as far as possible different assessment components for every assignment that we are giving to the students. We should try to avoid just written assignments, because those written assignments will be just a replica of something from the net. So maybe that will just, at the minimal level, it will improve his writing and reading skills. He's taking something from the internet, writing it, copying it, and submitting it. So rather than just those assignments, we should kindle the interest of the students so that they think or they act on their own, and they come out with some creativity. Even very at the minimal, we can also, instead of just giving an assessment of asking them to write and submit it, you can just tell them preparing some maybe this is not exactly suitable for this, even a chart preparation where he gives his own creativity of what model suits which application. That was our comparative study with in a chart, or a flipped assignment. All those also is possible. So we should always try to evaluate using different patterns of assessments, rather than just one or two. Okay. So, and we should try to see that we are not repeating the same assessment for every module. Suppose I have 3 assignments on which I'm going to evaluate the student. We should see to that we are not giving the monotonously the same 3 assignments, and that way we will not be effectively knowing whether the outcome is attained. So, how do we, after having given all these assignments, we are going to see whether we have attained the outcome. So, how do we check that is based on the rubric, we give some marks for that assignment, and we can know whether the student has performed well, whether that outcome has reached the student. And then finally, based on the results, I can measure what is the course outcome. And from the course outcome, if the course outcome is well achieved, then I can come to a conclusion that the program outcome is also well achieved. And if the program outcome is well achieved, I can conclude that the graduate attribute is also attained. And finally, if anything needs to be modified, if the course outcome, say for example, a particular outcome is not very well attained, I should try to change the assessment pattern, or I should make some modifications. Just as I told you, in the plan to check act cycle, we should make enhancements, and we should see where that improvement has to happen. So this is a simple flow of what has to be done in the entire process of the outcome based education. So let me show a simple lesson plan, then we will come back to this. Any clarifications until now? Are you able to follow? Any questions until now? Am I audible? Ma'am, is it okay? I presume that there are participants. Ma'am, is
Hello,
everything
ma'am.
okay? Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
am I
Yes,
audible?
ma'am.
Okay,
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 ma'am.
okay. Ma'am, may I know how many participants are there?
64, ma'am, so far.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Do I have any way of communicating with the participants?
Only
Because I
through
hear.
comment chat box, ma'am. Only through
Okay.
chat box you
No,
can.
because I am not able to view any of the participants. That's why
Okay.
no, I
End
am
of
just
the
I'm
session,
just
you will have the question answer part, ma'am.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's okay. Just I want to get a feedback whether the am I in the right speed and the pace of understanding for them.
Yes, ma'am. They are giving yes.
Okay, okay.
Audible.
So that's visible
Yes,
only to you, isn't it?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. In case there are any queries in between, please keep me updated.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Tell you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
so this is what we expect. If we have some feedback in between, that will be better rather than having the feedback. So that's how we have to improve. Say for example, if you feel that I am
Ma'am.
fast, or if you
Excuse me,
feel that
ma'am.
I'm yes,
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, your
yeah,
PPT is not visible right now.
yeah, yeah. I'm made to open it.
Yeah, okay.
Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. So in the lesson plan, I just give a detailed picture of what are the learning activities I plan, and what is the weightage I intend to give for those assignments. Now, say for example, in order to achieve the course outcome one, my course outcome one is compare the different life cycle models and select appropriate one for a real time project. And if you see, my syllabus will cover in the first module, let me show you the syllabus also. So the first module covers the software engineering concepts, the software lifecycle models, the standards for developing the lifecycle models, and what are the different activities that are available. So this is what is covered in the syllabus. And my first course outcome is compare the different lifecycle models and select the appropriate one for a real-time project. So I have to understand whether the student has understood the first module properly, whether he knows what are the different models. So yeah, I have to give some assignment such that he is aware of all the life cycle models, and at the same time he should be in a position to select one model for given an application. So my lesson plan should focus in such a way that what are the learning activities that I plan for the course outcome. One is always there will be a lecture. So initially there will be a lecture, and the assessment, that is the study and comparison of SDLC models. So that can be done rather than writing assignment. They can take a real-time application and they can say why they have selected that particular SDLC model for that application. Why not some other model? Say, for example, they have taken a student data, university student attendance system. So there, the requirements are not going to change. The student details are not going to change throughout the semester. That's going to be almost fixed. Whereas if you take a timetable management system, that is a dynamic thing. Some staff may leave on leave, or some staff may join newly, or there will be always changes, which means that I cannot have a fixed requirement for as far as the timetable is concerned. So I should be able to analyze what model can I opt for this particular uh, uh, application. So I am giving a assignment in order to judge how he has understood the different SDLC models. Uh, so I just give study and comparison of SDLC models. That has to be done by some taking a real-time application, or he can compare all the models and give his views on that. So the weightage I give for that in the first assignment for the first, this is continuous assessment test one. Yes, any queries? Okay. So for the continuous assessment test one, what is the weightage that I'm planning to give for the course outcome one? Now, why do I give more weightage for the this particular outcome? I will come back to that later. As of now, just to have it as 50%. Okay. And when you see in the end semester, I will be giving 20% weightage of all the questions. My course outcome will be 20% will be covering the course outcome one, 20% will be covering the course outcome two. Now, why is that I've given only 10% for course outcome five? Let us go to course outcome five. Course outcome five says that demonstrate the ability to communicate effectively in writing as well as while you're talking. So I cannot give any. I can just give a seminar, or I can ask him to take a presentation wherein I can assess what is how well he has performed. Rather than in the exam, I cannot exactly have a question mapped to that. 1 minute. Okay. So here in the course outcome 6 also, again, what are the object oriented concepts? Why the weightage is given less to that particular outcome is we are talking about the object oriented concepts as a part of the one module. So this is given less weightage, and all these outcomes. So it is always subject to change. You can, whichever you feel is more, you want to give more emphasis to a particular outcome. Now, for me, of all these six, I feel that he should be able to understand this objective very well, and this objective has to very well reach the student when he has completed the course. That is, he should know at least what are the different life cycle models, and he should know what are the testing strategies used, what are the risks that are involved in a project. So I feel that at the end of this course, the student should not be failing to identify what is a model, or failing to identify what are the different testing mechanisms. So I feel that these two require more emphasis after having completed a course in software engineering. So that according to the teachers and according to the program outcomes that we have given, we can always change the weightage, but always we see to that I should not give this entirely 50% and all the others 10, 10, 10. As far as possible, try to equally distribute the percentage weightage that we give for every outcome. Okay. So this is just a mapping as how we do in the lesson plan. So the lesson plan, where do you think the lesson plan fits into this cycle? Please, you can put up in the chat box. Where does this lesson plan go into? Whether it goes into the plan, or it goes into the do, or it goes into the check, or goes into the act of these four process. Where does the lesson plan go into? Ma'am, are there any answers to this?
No, ma'am.
Where do you think the lesson plan goes into? The plan, do, check. Okay. Okay. I think I will elaborate a little more on this aspect with the
Ma'am, there is
slide.
one answer, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes,
There is one answer from
yes.
participants. Plan. They have given plan.
Okay, very good. So very good. So the lesson plan goes into plan as well as the do cycle also. Okay. So one more thing is we plan what is the course outcome and we do what is the program outcome. So this planning is different from the lesson plan. To be a little more clear, we decide what are the courses, what are the outcomes that we want to attain. And though the answer is partially correct, this actually goes into this, because here is what we decide: what are the learning activities, what are the teaching methodologies that we are going to implement, and what resources and facilities that do we have. And then your answer is correct, but partially into plan as well as into the do. Oh, okay. I think the participants have understood the concept of what is the OBE framework. Now, moving on to the next part. So, so now comes our most important, the Bloom's taxonomy. So, the Bloom's taxonomy is actually a tool which will help us understand where the students are, whether the students have understood the concept, whether we have reached the students, all that we can evaluate using the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so this is actually called as a new Bloom's taxonomy. The old Bloom's taxonomy, in case you know, only difference is in this part. Instead of knowledge, we have replaced it with remember. I'll tell you what is all that. And what is there in the old Bloom's taxonomy is mostly nouns, and here we have replaced them with verbs. Analyze, apply, understand, remember, all these are verbs. And whereas in the old Bloom's taxonomy, we had knowledge, comprehension, and so on. Those nouns are replaced with verbs. Okay, we will start with the lowest level. Lowest level is remember. At the lowest level of the Bloom's taxonomy, so whenever we are doing anything related to the question paper setting or the assessment evaluation, we should see to that we adhere to the Bloom's taxonomy. And what is, I will come back to what is cognitive. So first we will understand what are the different layers in this pyramid. So remember at the least is you having studied a particular module or having studied a particular course, is he able to remember what are the basic concepts that he has studied? So, say for example, he should be able to recall the facts and know what are the basic concepts. So, this is a minimal level. The course outcome, or when we map, this is a minimal level. Say, for example, I have a question like, um, uh, say for example, if I'm again referring to the same subject, if it is a software engineering subject, I will just ask questions like define software engineering, or what are the list the different types of software development models, or I might ask questions which will just ask them to remember something. Whatever they have studied, are they able to remember? I'm just asking define software engineering as per IEEE definition. So are they able to memorize what is the IEEE definition, and are they able to repeat that? Or are they able to list the different types of, say for example, I give a question like list the different types of networks or different types of layers that are there in the OSI architecture? Or I give a question like uh, what is, all these come into the remember category. That is, you don't require any special skills, just your memory skills only is sufficient for understanding at this level what you are able to recollect from your memory. So this is a very minimal level, that is remember. Next is understand. Understand is a little more than remembering. Rather than just remembering, you should be able to do all this. That is, you should be in a position to describe something. You should be able to discuss, explain, or identify. Suppose I say identify what is this type of address. I give a specific address and I say identify the class of this address. So remembering means if I ask what are the class, what are the different types of addresses, class A, class B, class C, class D, he'll write. Now, if I give a specific address 192.168.1.1 or something, I give, and I ask him to find out what is that address, which class does it belong to, then it comes to the understanding category. More than what he has remembered, is he able to understand it, whether he is able to correlate what he has understood. So I say, I give a specific question like a specific IP address and ask him to identify to which class this address belongs to. Or I will ask him to classify the different addresses or classify the different models. So all this comes into understanding. So these are the very basic levels. So mostly when we are setting our question paper, our part A, most of the questions will be under the category of remember or understand. Because in part A, where we just give 2 marks for every questions, we don't expect them to design something or create something or analyze something. Rather, we are just going to test whether the student is able to recollect something, whether he has understood some basic concepts. That's why most of our 2 marks questions will be like what, identify, how, and we don't have questions like analyze the situation or compare in a 2 mark question, because at the least level we are going to check whether the student is able to recollect what you have studied, whether he is able to identify what should be the type of address. So these two are at the least level. Next comes our apply. Apply is having studied something, having understood something, having able to recollect something. Is he able to apply it? Is he able to apply something? Now, say for example, I give mm, let me take a simple question paper and show you. Okay, let me complete this and I will take a question paper and explain it. Okay, so apply is where you're going to use that knowledge, whatever you have studied, whatever you remember, and then you will apply to that particular. Say, for example, I give, I hope all of you are aware of the RSA algorithm. I give the values for P, I give the value for Q, I give what is the input text, what is the plain text. I ask them to convert it into the cipher text. I will say solve this using the RSA encryption algorithm, or apply the RSA encryption algorithm to this particular uh, input and give me the cipher text. So are you able to solve it? Are you able to apply this particular logic to your program, what you have studied, and you are able to arrive at a solution? 1 minute. So the next level is the apply, where we are using. So where we are using words like demonstrate, interpret what you have studied, or implement the algorithm for encryption and decryption for this particular input. So that is apply. The next level is analyze. Analyze is you are given some facts and you should be able to distinguish between what is the fact and what is the information given. You should be able to organize and give your own suggestions, or you should be able to be in a position to compare. Say for example, I say I have given a specific application and I ask you to compare the different models that can be used for this, or rather than taking the same subject, let me go into networks. So in networks, I should be able to distinguish or differentiate between the responsibilities of one layer, or compare the different protocols available in a particular layer, or I should be able to organize what are the application layer protocols, which stands for what is the responsibility of a particular protocol and where does it function. I should be able to analyze all this. So my analyzing capacity comes only if I have a very good understanding of the concept. I am able to recollect the concept and I am in a position to apply it. Okay. So all this, as we move here to the pyramid, our higher level thinking increases. So in a 2 mark question, I told you we will not be giving analyze or apply or create or design or synthesize. So as we move on, our higher order thinking also increases. So then next is the evaluate. Evaluate is, suppose you give a scenario and ask them what suggestions will you give? Say for example, you're giving a scenario like I'm taking the simple example. Suppose in a project management, the most top most employee is leaving the organization. So what are your suggestions if such a risk is encountered? I am giving a scenario and I'm asking them to uh, give their suggestions or justify a suggestion or make some decisions based on some scenario. Or say for example, if the project deadline is not met, you are supposed to give your project by the end of the 1 month. By the end of the month, if you are not in a position to submit the project, suggest a few situations how you will handle this situation. How will you handle this delay? So I am making the student think on his own. So he will be thinking what are the different factors that are putting the delay in the project. So what are the factors? One factor is there is no proper planning of the project because of which there is a delay, or the resources are not available, or the people are not trained. So he will understand what are the factors and he will come to a conclusion that if these factors are effectively monitored, such delay can be avoided, or if there are frequent reviews. So he will come up with suggestions. So what is one interesting thing with these evaluators? There is no one suggestion. There is no one justification. For me, what is suggestion need not be exactly right for everyone, but that is my view. And if the student is able to substantiate his view with a strong notion of why he has selected that, then you can as well make understand that the decision is right. Okay, so that is the evaluate level. Next is the create. Create is where you are making the student to think on its own and where he is giving his ideas. We are not going to ask whether questions like what is this or how is this. Instead, we are asking him to design a new model which will be suitable for a thing, or make bring out his creativity so that he is able to analyze. You are giving a situation and a scenario and asking him to write what are the different possible failures that can happen, or you are asking the student to do investigation. Say, for example, if I take cyber forensic subject, okay, so you are giving some, say, for example, your mobile phone is lost. How will you? What are the possible investigations you will carry out when you are taking data from your mobile, or what are the network related data that you will analyze in order to do a forensic examination? So this is where the student is made to think on his own. So he will come out with his own suggestions and he will formulate his own theory for that. He will formulate his work. So he will be having a highest level of thinking in order to own, and this comes only when he has understood everything. That is, he has attained all the basic knowledge and he has understood the concepts. Then he will be at this level. That is the create level. So, in order for our question papers to reflect the new taxonomy, there are some planning verbs. Say, for example, all these are some of the planning verbs. I'm just pointing out a few. Now, as I told you, remembering, identify, select, tabulate, all these are some of the verbs that are related to this particular level of Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. So, what are the most commonly used in our question papers? We can see that uh, reproduce is a very common thing, and write the different IP addresses that are available. Name the mostly used cohesion, or I say, for example, identify what is the IP address, or enumerate the different classifications of models, or define software engineering, or I say draw the architecture diagram. All these are the keywords that are used in the Bloom's taxonomy level, remember. And understand is all these distinguish between
Hello,
TCP
ma'am.
and. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for interruption. There is one
Yes,
question from participant.
yes, ma'am.
Generally, question paper contains 5 questions. So while designing question paper, how much parameters of Bloom taxonomy should be considered in one question?
Uh, in order to answer this, see, 5 questions in the sense only 5 for the exam itself. No, I will just show you. Okay, I will answer this question with a simple question paper. Let me show a sample question paper. Okay, so this is our pattern of questioning. That is, let me. So I am just, this is a very sample only. It need not be please don't look into what are the other contents. Just this says that SRS stands for. So this is just basically I am testing, I am knowing whether he has understood what is SRS. So these will be at the minimal level. SRS stands for Software Requirement Specification. He will know that provided he is able to memorize it and he remembers it and he has understood what is SRS. Whereas a question like this, module X and Y operate on the same input and output data. What type of cohesion is this? So I will not say this is just a remember question. This is something you have to apply your knowledge. Modules X and Y operate on the same input and output data. You have to identify what type of cohesion it is. So I have given some sample forms of cohesion, asking them to find out what is the type of cohesion. So we need not worry about how much percentage of Bloom's taxonomy goes into the question, provided at least our 12 mark questions should be in such a way that we focus on the higher order thinking. The more marks we give, the more thinking he should be applied. If you have 5 questions only, how much mark do we dedicate for each question? Say, for example, it is just a 2 mark question, and all your 2 marks questions can be until this level: remember, understand, apply level. Now, if I'm going to evaluate him on a 12-mark question, I would prefer you to use the higher order thinking. That is, he should be able to apply the knowledge, he should be able to evaluate, or he should be able to analyze. So, the number of questions or how much Bloom's taxonomy we are going into the question, though doesn't carry a very big uh, impact, we should see that as we move higher, he should be able to think higher. That is, for a 2 mark question, you need not have a question like, still in 2 marks, you can give a justify question. Justify what is the model that is suitable for this. I can give like that. But your question paper, as you go, depending on how much marks you're giving for every question, you can move on to higher levels in the Bloom's taxonomy. Have I answered your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Uh, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay.
answered.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the interaction. I am happy that I am along with the participants, because generally in a class, uh, it is like a one-way traffic wherein we keep talking, and in between we just use words like, especially with the online sessions, the most frequently used phrase is, am I audible? So the when we interact, it gives a impression that there are people listening to us. So thank you for the query. Thank you. Okay, so now moving on. So as far as the apply part is concerned, we will be using all these verbs: employ, establish. So mostly we can use illustrate, modify, compare, and all those comes under this apply. Similarly, and there are some words that are overlapping also. Let's not worry about that now. Okay, so next is analyze. So examine the situations or criticize. Criticize is all. See, there are two things. Criticize is uh, you have selected something and you are saying that this is correct. So you can as well go against that answer and also give your reviews on that. So you will be in a position to analyze why not this be applied to that. So it's so such type of questions you can give, criticize. Next is evaluate. Evaluate is all these words are used. Explain, interpret, uh, contrast. See, there are two very interesting questions we have: compare and contrast. When we give such type of questions, say for example, I say a compare question is there. What do the students generally prefer doing is, if I say compare all the life cycle models,
Ma'am,
immediately they would,
excuse me, ma'am.
yes, yes.
Your slide is not visible, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will share it. Now, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So generally, when we give compare, I'm sorry to go back to the same examples because I've been handling software engineering for many semesters, so I am closely related with that subject. So all my examples are mostly from that subject. I'm sorry to go into the depth of the one particular subject, but we will see few more subjects also. So suppose I give a question like compare the waterfall model, the spiral model, and the traditional V model. So immediately what the student tends to write is, he will write the waterfall model, advantages, disadvantages. Then he'll write the spiral model, the advantages, disadvantages. Then the V model. This is not actually a comparison. He's just writing as such all the models. What is to be expected out of the student is, he should be in a position to say under what situations waterfall model is preferable. He should be in giving a conclusion like, in situations where the requirements are not stable, waterfall model is not preferred. In that case, we can go for agile model. And in cases where the customer's interaction is very much required, waterfall model may not be suitable because more customer interaction is not there. Instead, he can go for the agile model, or in case where risks are to be handled, you can go for the spiral model. So he should be doing this comparison rather than just writing all the three models, the advantages and disadvantages. So if that is written, it means that he has understood, but he is not able to compare. So by compare, we mean he should be analyzing what are the different scenarios in which this model is can be used, and what situations this model will be best suitable. And so he should be applying the highest form of the knowledge application is in this area, that is create a level of Bloom's taxonomy. So he should be able in a position to design his own theory, or a design a model, or design a concept, or he should be in a position to reproduce something. So I say, for example, reconstruct, rearrange. All these are some of the words that go into the highest order of thinking. So why is this assessment required? Why not be just be based on his uh, whatever he's reproducing in the end semester? Why not be judge that student? So in between, only if we have assessments in the outcome based, the need for the assessments in the outcome based components is, we should be able to identify what the learners are requiring, what does he need, and it also helps us in planning what is how are we going to proceed with the teaching learning process itself. Now say for example, if some student is not performed well in the quiz, but he is performing well in the seminar, he is able to communicate effectively, but he is not able to recollect effectively. So I will know where he is lagging, so I can focus my attention on that particular aspect for that student. And also how effectively the course has reached the students. So for all these purposes, the assessment in the outcome based framework is very essential. So because I'm linking all these outcomes to some, either the course outcome or with the program outcome, and finally these all go into the vision mission of the university also. So here, let me take a simple example and tell you how to do this. So in your question paper, after having selected a question paper, how much percentage of marks have you allotted for remember? So I told you some of the verbs. So coming back to this slide, these are some of the verbs. So how much of your question paper goes into the remember category? How much of it goes into your understanding category? So after having written all the entire question paper, I have to do this. I have to test what is the total of Bloom's taxonomy that goes into the question paper. So how much remember category? Remember in the sense questions of what, how, when, define, all those comes into this. So how many such types of questions do we have? And what is the marks allotted for them? So understand type of questions. How many is there? Analyze type of questions. What is the percentage of marks? So when you finally complete this, you will get a clear picture of what is the level of Bloom's taxonomy that you have applied. Now, if your Bloom's taxonomy is sticking to this end alone, yeah, sorry, the finally, if the matrix is going to show a higher value in the remember understand category, it means that it is a very basic paper. It is a foundation level paper. So wherein I cannot ask the student to do some creation or evaluation. Whereas if I give a say for example I say advanced data structures, and I don't have a evaluate or create weightage is not high, then the meaning of advanced doesn't is not justified there. So depending on what type of paper and what type where that which semester we have that paper, and all this plays a role in this test matrix. So as far as possible, we should be in a position to touch upon, create, and evaluate through at least one or two questions, whether be it at the third semester or seventh semester. He should be able to understand what he is doing, apply what he is doing, what he has studied, analyze what he has studied, and he should be in a position to create. So the more we have create questions, the more it means that we have kindled the higher order thinking skills of the student. We have motivated the student to think on its own, and rather than just reproducing. So if I give more of remember and understand, it is just I'm testing his memory skills. I am just testing whether he is able to recollect at the day of the exam, whether he is able to recollect whatever he has studied. So if I stop with this level, then it means that I am just testing his memory skills and understanding skills, or how effectively he is able to remember on the day of the exam. Whereas if I include the create, evaluate, analyze, apply type of questions, I can very well understand whether that particular student has understood the concept as well as he is able to apply the concept. Okay. So this is the test matrix that we have to prepare at the end of every uh, 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 question paper after we have finally done. So this is test matrix for the Bloom's taxonomy. Now again, we also have another matrix wherein we have to understand how much outcome have we attained. Okay, let me take a simple question paper and show you that. Okay. This is a simple example for an application oriented question wherein I have said a library lends the books and magazines to members who are registered in the system, and I give a scenario. Finally, what I'm asking is draw the sequence diagram for borrowing books and explain about the above diagrams. So, what is that in this interesting in this is I'm not directly asking him to draw sequence diagrams. I am giving the scenario, and for this scenario he has to draw the sequence diagrams. If I just say a sequence diagram, he will mark something and write, whereas I am giving some specifications. I am giving some uh, imp- specific requirements in the question paper, asking him to draw the diagram for this specific case. So if he has understood sequence diagram as well as if he has understood how to draw it, then he will be in a position to attempt this question. Now, generally, the notion of students is they immediately tend to switch over to the other question as soon as they see big questions like this. So we should mentor them in such a way that all this is, if you actually look into, this is a very simple question which just talks about what is happening in the library. But immediately after seeing a lengthy question, the first thing the student does is he will switch over to another question. But we should always encourage him or her to understand what are the simple ways in attempting such questions and getting full marks. So here, what is the question is analyze the users and actors of the system. It's very simple. I'm asking who are all involved in the library. So for this, he can reading this itself, he can understand that there is a librarian, there is a student, there is the staff admin, and some other, say for example, the person who is lending the book and so on. So he will be in a position to identify who are the actors of the system. So this is course I have mapped this to course outcome 2. Let me just switch over to the course outcomes of this subject. So my course outcome for this course is illustrate the different UML diagrams using various tools. So if he is in a position to understand this particular question, then this course outcome is very well attained. Understand, illustrate the different UML diagrams using tools. So my question paper focuses on the UML diagrams. If he has understood the different diagrams, that is, what is a use case diagram, what is a what is a sequence diagram, then, and if he takes up this question, and for 16 marks, if he is getting, say for example, 15 marks, if he is getting in this particular question, then I can say that this particular course outcome is very well attained. Is it clear? Am I clear with that
Yes,
particular
ma'am. Yes,
question?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now let me take one more example. Analyze the testing risk and change management strategies, CO4. So let me see if there is a CO4 in this. Okay, there is a CO4 question. What is the need for system testing and when should it be performed? Explain the different types of system testing. So this attributes only to 12 or 4 marks, 12 marks. Okay. And similarly, what change management, what is version management? And coming to our outcome. So change management, where do I have the change management is all this comes into this category, that is change management and testing risk strategies. So if I'm giving questions related to this outcome, and if that student, if all the students have performed well in that particular question, then I can strongly say that I have attained this outcome. This outcome, testing risk and change management, has been attained very well. And let me take one more of question. Okay, so here I have given a question like, see, this is uh, uh, one of you in the chat window. Can you just say which Bloom's taxonomy does this fit into? List the 4 scenario types in requirements engineering. The outcome of this is CO3, which means that in my course it is mapped with the CO3. I will come back to what is CO3. Now, which Bloom's taxonomy this comes into this question? List and define. Where does it fit into in the Bloom's taxonomy? Any answers in the chat window?
No, ma'am. So far, no answers.
Ma'am, are there any answers?
No, ma'am.
If the answers are right, then my attainment of the FDP is achieved. Outcome of the FDP is attained if I am getting a right answer for this. I've given a define question and I've given a list question. Where does this
Ma'am,
fit into
excuse.
our Bloom's taxonomy? Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, there is one
Are
more
there?
one answer. It belongs to remember.
Very good. Okay. Okay. Then thank you. Thank you, participant. It belongs to the remember category. Yes, sir. Okay. All this list,
And
define, all this comes
ma'am,
under the reminder or remember category. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, there are a variant of answers. Memory,
Yes.
apply, first three
Yeah.
levels.
Okay. Memory is correct also, but apply doesn't suit here because we are not applying anything. It is a direct question. There is what are the four types? I am not asking which have you to apply. So except for the apply, all the others will fit into this. But as we move, as you do this practice, you will get to know. Initially, it might be a little difficult for us to understand which category it fits into because I would suggest that when we do question paper setting, we just have these words with us and we pick up these words while we are setting the question papers. Now, I will show you one more question for you to understand how to apply. So I've given see here, draw a class diagram for the following Java code. Now, what is that I am asking the student to do in this question is I've given a code. I'm asking to draw a class diagram. So from the code, he should know how to draw a class diagram. He should have a method. He should have a attributes, a set of attributes, and some operations if there are any. So I have specified what are the attributes. So string name is one attribute, birthday is one attribute, and there is one method get birthday. So in a class diagram, for those of you who are familiar with UML diagrams, a class diagram generally contains the methods and the attributes. So rather than asking the student to just draw the class diagram for a particular application, here you are giving a code, and for this code, you are asking him to draw the class diagram. So in that case, he will at least know what are the methods, what are the attributes in this particular class, and he will draw the class diagram. So in this way, we are making the student to think at a higher level rather than just memorizing. Okay. Okay. Now coming to, let me take one more question. Yeah. Coming to the first question, elucidate elucidate the significant characteristics of spiral model with advantages and disadvantages and compare it with the waterfall model. So this part of the question is just ordinary understanding or remembering or apply also. Now when I say compare it with waterfall model is, here is what the student should be in a position to compare both things. He should not write waterfall model separately, and he should not write spiral model separately. Spiral model is best suitable when there are risks. Waterfall model does not handle risk very well. So you should be able to compare and write it. That is where the outcome is very well attained. And our first coming to our course outcomes. This I map to CO1. So let me see what is our CO1. Our CO1 talks about compare the different life cycle models and select appropriate one for a real-time project. So the first half of the attainment course outcome I've given as a question. I'm asking them to compare two different life cycle models. Let me take one more example to give you an idea of. Okay. 2 minutes. I'll just take another question and.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, 1 minute. I'm not able to retrieve the question. I'm just on the way. I'm
Yeah.
just taking the question.
Okay. Okay. In the meanwhile, participants, if you have any queries, you can post in chat box.
Okay. So I've just taken one more question paper for you to analyze how this has to be given. I've just included a question like consider an online railway reservation system which allows the user to select a book and all this. So I'm just asking the student if he has understood the data flow diagram, he should be in a position to draw the data.
Hello,
Is the
ma'am.
screen? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Your screen is visible, but your font size is not proper. Can you just
Okay.
increase it?
Yeah, I'll. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
So you are considering an online reservation system and asking them to draw a data flow diagram for this. So data flow diagram is part of our design notations. So if he has understood the online reservation system, so online reservation system, how he is selecting the route, how he's booking, canceling the tickets. So you should know that railway reservation system as well as the data flow diagram. So these are types of questions wherein we can uh, ask them to apply the knowledge that they have studied. And at the same time, this data flow diagram, we study it in the book, but this railway reservation system is an application. So you apply this data flow diagram to this specific application. Similarly, one more question, the same as I told you, we need not stick on to same type of monotonous library or ATM. You can as well give. There are plenty of scenarios available for testing whether the students have understood the diagrams. So we can as well change the different things. There we have given sequence diagram. Here I've included class diagram. So just the what is happening in the ATM. Give that scenario. Ask them to draw the different UML diagrams or a use case diagram or a particular diagram. Yeah. So this is a very general question. Enumerate the quality guidelines to evaluate the quality of good design. So when you give general questions like this also makes the students to think on their own. So this is nowhere given in the textbook that what are the qualities a good design should possess. Instead, on having studied the basic concepts, that is your if you are doing the modularity of your design properly, if you are able to partition your uh, requirements properly, and if you're sticking on to what is cohesion, coupling and all that, if it is effective, then the design is good. So you need not to give them exactly a replica of what is there in the book. Instead, you can give some general questions like of this sort to identify whether they are in a position to apply the knowledge that they have studied. So this is also one type of question. Which type of coupling is least preferred in software design? So least preferred, he will think he should be in a position to understand what are the different types of coupling and which is the least preferred. Only if he has understood all the types of coupling, he will be in a position to understand this question and answer to this question. And again, this is also a little generic qualities that a good software design should exhibit. So all these are different ways in which we can, rather than giving direct questions, we can just ask the students to give questions so that they think and apply their knowledge and give the answer, rather than giving what is a good design or what type of questions. We can give questions which will really make them think so that they can apply the knowledge that they have studied in that particular course. Okay. Can I continue with the next mapping of the course outcomes? If I hope I'm clear until this point. So I have just touched upon the Bloom's taxonomy, the different course outcomes, the different the program outcomes, and then we will now move on to how do we now everything is the platform is set, the question paper is ready, the course outcome is ready, and the students have taken up the exam, and we have evaluated them. Now it's time for us to understand whether it has reached the students properly, whether the outcome has been attained. So, how much time am I left out with, ma'am? Ma'am, am I,
Ma'am, there is only 10
do
to
I,
15 minutes, ma'am.
yeah, yeah, that's sufficient for me. I will just touch upon how the course outcome should be mapped. Okay. So in our this is how the course outcome mapping goes. I don't think I can fully explain, or I will just give you an outline of how this process is done. Now, in our question paper, we have marked for every question what is the outcome. Say, for example, in the question paper, if I mark for the first question, course outcome one is attained. I am taking the same question paper for you to understand. Let me open that question paper so that you will have a idea of what is that. So here, SR stands for this goes into outcome 3. So outcome 3, I will just, what is total marks allotted for this question is 1 mark. So in this course outcome 3, for the third question, 1 mark. Sorry, for the first question, 1 mark. So similarly, how many other questions you have taken, for every question, you will be mapping that particular outcome. Sorry, that is. Okay. So here for the first question, how many marks and which outcome does it satisfy? Second question, which outcome does it satisfy? So I will just be putting what is the total mark for that outcome. Similarly, for your part B, if you take, if your first question in part B is going to have 12 marks, which outcome does it satisfy? Does it satisfy the CO1 or CO2 or CO3? So in that appropriate column, I will be putting that total marks for that question. Now, if my one of my questions is going to have the course outcome 3, then I will see that the course outcome 3, I will be putting 12 marks. So with each question, these are the question numbers 1 to uh, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These are the total number of questions in my question paper. So I will be putting for every outcome how much mark I have evaluated. So in the question paper also, I have done this mapping. Let me show that. So here, by the after having completed the course question paper, you have to give in course outcome 1 how much marks, 16 marks. So that is what I put it in that Excel. Similarly, for course outcome 2, how many questions I have given, how many marks, 20 marks. So that is around 11% of the total questions. And for the course outcome 3, how much marks I've given and what is the percentage. And course outcome 5, as I already told you, I cannot cover much of the course outcome 5 in the question paper, because that is how do you effectively communicate, which can be tested only by a seminar or some other activity. So in the question paper, I cannot cover much of that outcome. So that seems to be very less. And similarly, course outcome 6 also covers very much less percentage. Sorry, it covers 31 percentage. So this is the total mapping in the course outcome. So I do this exercise for every individual student. For example, for the first student, I have just given what are, this is only a sample, these are not the exact marks. So if he has written that answer correctly, how much mark does he deserve? So just whatever is in his answer sheet, you have to put it here. And this is whatever is a question paper, you have to put it here. Similarly, I'll be doing this for every assignment that I'm doing, and for every assessment, that is for the test as well as for the assessment. So CAT1 means continuous assessment test 1, how much marks I have covered. Similarly, for assignment 1, if my assignment 1, as I told you in the lesson plan, my assignment 1 is comparing the different life cycle models. So I have given 15 marks for course outcome 1 and what the student has attained. So I have some rubrics why I have given 14 for him, because he has compared the model and he has understood the concept. I give 10 plus 5 or whatever is the rubric you're setting. So this outcome has been attained very well if all of them have got good marks. See, for example, if you see this particular student has got good marks, 14 marks out of 15. which means that he has understood the concept well. Similarly, what other assignment you're giving, you have to map that to a particular outcome. Similarly, this process has to be carried out for how many ever tests you are doing and how many ever assignments we are giving. And finally, for the end semester also, then we do some all these calculations. I don't think I can cover within 10 minutes. Finally, what is the end result that we get is, for every course, what is the outcome that has been attained. Okay, so I have a sheet like this, wherein I will be able to figure out what is the attainment of this course outcome. So in this question paper, at the end of this semester, course outcome 1 has been reached as 8.87, and I fix a scale for everything. I don't fix right at the beginning, I don't fix it as 10. I start with 9, or this is some more or like how much we achieve. Depending on that, we can slowly improve. So this is what I told you in the plan, do, check, act cycle. If my outcome is going less, I have to concentrate on this outcome. CO5, I have to concentrate, and I will proudly say that this outcome has been very well attained. So what should I do for this outcome? I have to look into. Similarly, in your program outcome, how much has been attained, why this has gone down, I have to look into, and why this has gone down, I have to look into, and what is my strength, where does my strength lie is in this outcome. So I have to increase this, and I have to look into ways of how can I increase this 6.88. What is that particular outcome? I have to see how can I improve that. So I have to do an analysis. So I will give uh, explanation of how to improve that also. So all this is finally the outcome, how we achieve it. Okay. Uh, just for me to understand whether I've reached you properly, I'm just giving you a sample question. Just we will see what outcome has been attained.
Hello, ma'am.
Is one last, ma'am. So I expect the participants. Uh, distinguish between encryption and hashing. So can any one of the participants name which level of Bloom's taxonomy this belongs to?
Ma'am, there is one thing,
Yes.
analysis
Yes.
they have given.
Okay, very
Analysis.
good. Okay, yeah, good. That is analysis. You are able to distinguish between encryption and hashing. And okay, so in our question paper, rather than we always see to that we don't have more than 2 or 3 watt. We will have one distinguish, we will have one state, some what type of questions specify. All these are some keywords that you can use in your question papers when you're. I'm done with any questions. I hope I've given you to an extent. I've reached you, I think.
Participants, participants, do you have any queries? Just post in chat box. Ma'am, there is one question. How to
Yes, ma'am.
apply Bloom's taxonomy in MCQ type?
In MCQ type, probably MCQ is remember level only. Remember and understand level. Maybe we can give types of questions just as I showed you. What type of cohesion is that? So in that also they are applying rather than giving the type of questions that we select. That is instead of saying SRS stands for, that is a remember level. Whereas if you say what is the least preferred type of cohesion, and you give four choices, so in that you're applying your knowledge of cohesion in that. So the way we frame the questions, we can improve our Bloom's taxonomy. Any other questions?
All are clear, ma'am. All are clear with the
Yes.
concept. There is no
Yes.
questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope I've given you an overview of the basic of outcome-based teaching and the assessment patterns that we can follow and how to set question papers. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for
Thank
your
you, ma'am.
informative
Thank you.
session.
Thank you. I would
And
love to hear some feedback also. If there are any feedback, you can please keep me updated, ma'am.
yes, ma'am, sure. Ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. I thank Kanya, ma'am. I thank all the coordinators and I thank the participants for your very patient listening. Generally, ஏதாவது தீந்துடுச்சுன்னா உப்புமா போடுவாங்க. ஆனா சில நேரங்கள்ல உப்புமா கூட நல்லா தான் இருக்கும். So in that way, today I've served as a upma for you. I hope it tasted good. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank
informative
you.
session. Hope our participants had gained knowledge about outcome-based education. I hope this session is very useful for the participants and would have helped in applying it to their curriculum. Feedback link will be provided now.
Okay. Thank you,
I
ma'am.
hope
Can I
feedback link. Yes, ma'am.
can
So
I
feedback
disconnect?
is uh, just
Are there
1 minute.
any feedback, ma'am? Yeah, yeah.
Feedback. Up till there is no feedback, ma'am.
Okay. So no feedback. Does it mean everything is okay or nothing is understood? Should I take it that way?
Okay, so participants, your feedback link is provided. It will be active for 20 minutes. Now, vote of thanks by Mrs. K. Nityam.
Hi, good morning all. I am Nitya, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, deemed as a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. Let me first start with thanking the Almighty God for making this event a resounding session. At the same time, then I thank our speaker, Mrs. S.P. Valli ma'am, for this third day faculty development program for design of outcome-based question paper, mapping outcomes and assessment and rubrics. Thank you, ma'am, for such a knowledgeable and enlightening session, which would surely brought amazing transformation with us. It is my pleasure to thank our Honorable and Dynamic President ERACS Arun Kumar sir, who has been a great continuous support systems and always encourages us to take a step forward and stay ahead. I also thank our Vice Chancellor Dr. S. Geeta Lakshmi ma'am, Registrar Dr. C.B. Kalanive, Joint Registrar Dr. V. Cyril Raj sir, and Dean ENT, Dr. Senthil Velan, for their guidance and encouragement in all our efforts. My heartfelt thanks to our department head and co-workers who worked hard to ensure that this event becomes a milestone. Once again, I thank you all for this your attention. Thank you all.
Thank you all participants for making this session very interactive. We will meet tomorrow for our fourth day of FTP at 10 a.m. Thank you all. Have a nice day.